Barbara.
Good morning. Mike, did you get the picture of my check?
I did, but for some reason my email response wouldn't go out this morning. So, yeah.
Well, I have a check.
You've got $1 in the pot.
Thank you. Good morning, Don. Oh, what are you eating, Don? That looks good. Don's having breakfast.
I think he's got his sound muted. Morning, Jim. You're muted.
Okay. There you go.
There you go.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Steve.
Good morning, Evan. Full picture.
Well, he's there.
There he is.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Oh, delighted to have you. Morning, Miss Ellie.
You know, when we first started doing these Zoom meetings, I would open my window blinds here and the sun would come through it at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now it's pitch dark. So
I know.
it's the seasons, they are changing.
And eventually the time will change too.
Yeah, it's still a month and a half away.
I was going to ask a quick question if I could.
Fire away.
If during the talk that I'm giving, could I share my screen?
Absolutely. What I'll do is when I start the meeting, I'll click share. I'll be sharing and then I'll click it down. And then when you speak, you can have control of the screen and then you can share your presentation.
I just want to show 2 images of some stuff we're working on.
Sure.
Get a better perspective on stuff.
Absolutely.
Great.
Morning, Barbara. Morning, Mike. Hi, Evan.
Hey, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Last year, we didn't have the 4-way contest. We weren't able to get the students together, if I'm remembering right.
Correct.
Okay. Cole reached out to me about that yesterday.
Yeah, she's working on doing that. I think district has come back and said they're not going to do the 4-way test as a district, but the clubs could do it if they'd like to on their own. So she's working out a way that Sunrise can have a 4-way contest and we can honor whoever comes out the best. So she's working on that. I'm glad we're going to be involved in that this year.
Good morning.
Morning, Joanne.
See you this morning.
Tim?
Ellie, where's your partner? Well, he is up.
Okay, we haven't started the meeting yet, but Barney's already won the Guess the Error contest.
All right.
It's in the chat room.
Joanne,
Yes.
good morning. Your
Good
Majesty,
morning.
Your Royalty, Your Highness, Your Queenship.
Yes, of course.
It's been a long
I'm
time.
just,
I
thrilled you recognize it.
totally do.
You always look so put together first thing in the morning.
Me?
Yes.
Me?
You do.
Well, I have an advantage over most of you, and that is I'm normally up by 4:30 in the morning.
That is an advantage.
Yeah, so I have a little longer to get ready, maybe. But then I go to bed earlier too, of course.
Well, Barney, I thought I won the contest.
What was your pick?
Street School has been in operation for 47 years instead of 40.
Well, we didn't know that. So that wasn't the planned error.
Okay.
Good morning, Gifty.
Good morning.
Morning, Gifty.
Morning.
Hey, Gifty.
Huh? Good morning, Barney.
Hey, VJ.
Good morning.
Who is 0519? Is that okay?
Hey, Jim.
Good morning.
This is starting to remind me of the Waltons.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
What time?
First.
Good night, Barney.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot stay today very long. I'm gonna stay for about 15 minutes and I've got to zoom over to Rogers.
Okay.
Does that mean you're driving or you're going to Zoom?
I'm zooming.
Okay.
Joy.
You got your mask on, Barney?
Yeah.
You got your mask on?
Yes.
I can't even hang my nose over the top of it. Chin guard.
Joy, how is your collarbone?
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Joy, you're on mute.
There.
Okay.
How was your surgery?
My surgery was last Friday morning, and so they make an incision from your sternum out to the end of your shoulder, and then there's the collarbone is like an S shape. It has a curve in it, and so there's a plate that is screwed to my collarbone to put it back together. So I stopped taking narcotics Sunday afternoon, and so I'm pretty much pain-free until I try to move. Like I tried to put my vitamins in my left hand this morning and then bring my left hand up to my mouth to take my vitamins. And it was like, ow, 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 ow. But other than that, things are going really well.
Good, good.
I'm happy to see your face this morning.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
How's everybody doing this morning?
It's
Doing
good, Scott. Thanks.
Great.
Been out and about already.
Oh my goodness. Look at you. So I bet the children are happy to see you in the morning.
just the babies.
Oh, just the babies? Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for joining.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to stay off camera because the morning routine's going on around me. But
No guts, no glory, Jesse.
that's right.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi.
When are you headed back to Red River or to Red River Cows?
I'm going to Angel Fire and I'm leaving Friday.
Friday. I'm headed to Colorado on Wednesday of next week. So
Good.
for a week to look at the leaves change.
To look at the leaves. That's it.
Yeah.
I'll be
What
there
part
for
of
3
Colorado are you going to, Barbara?
Southeast.
Southeast?
Yeah.
Like Cortez and Durango? No.
No, that's
Southeast.
Southwest. Yeah.
Yeah.
This Southeast.
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we got a place at 9,200 feet, so it's really pretty and it's quiet. Oh, the clock is chiming. Okay. That means
We don't have a sergeant at arms.
we're going to start the meeting, and we have a substitute sergeant at arms today.
Oh,
And that would be, well, we're not getting there yet. Our Rotarian of the day is Jim Blackburn. So Jim, you want to, well, my clock will quit chiming in a minute. Okay, Jim, you want to take it off and do the prayer and the pledge for us?
All right. Please bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with this group morning as we meet. We ask your guidance and help. Thank you for all the blessings you bestow upon us. And I ask you to be with those less fortunate on the front line, both medically and militarily. And finally, please give us strength and judgment in our efforts to help others. In Jesus' name we humbly pray. Amen. Will you join me in the pledge? Barbara has put it on the screen. I put mine over my shoulder so that we could see that. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the Republic, which is one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you, Jim. Okay, we have this morning a substitute sergeant at arms, and that would be Steve Kerr. So Steve, you want to take over Megan's slot this morning? Steve, you're going to have to unmute yourself. Steve.
There, how's that?
There you go. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, Sunrise. Hope you all are doing well this morning. It is time for us to each rat on our fellow Rotarians. Look around. I know it's hard to see, but if you are not wearing your pin, you owe us a buck.
I owe you a buck.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, we'll trust you to send that $1 to Mike Bibby, and he will record it appropriately. So, having done that, birthdays and anniversaries. There's. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that. Andy is paying his fine. So, birthdays and anniversaries. Let's start with the birthdays. What birthdays do we have this week? Any family birthdays? Oh, no birthdays. Nobody's going to own up to it. All right. How about anniversaries? Either Rotary Club anniversaries or wedding anniversaries?
I didn't do it.
I think you did
When?
before.
Oh,
All right.
I didn't know I did.
Anybody? No? All right, then we'll move on. Happy Bucks. What Happy Bucks do you have to report today? I see Martha Lowe raising her hand. Go ahead, Martha.
Okay, my happy buck is that I got kissed by a pig this week.
Kissed by a pig?
Kissed by a pig. I went, I was out doing my census and I had a very kind of harrowing experience in that I had to go to a house that was about a half a mile off the road, and the road to it was just simply rocks and grass that I had to follow the path and then down into a ravine. And then there were all these rusted cars and trucks and rocks and shrubbery and everything. It was just wild. And I get up to the house and it's a little trailer and the grass is so high and the weeds are so high you can barely see the trailer. And there's a truck parked in front of it. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm waiting for the banjos to start. Nobody's ever going to see me again. And the nicest little gal came out and I talked to her and she got her husband and her children. And they had this huge pig. I mean, the only time I've ever seen a pig is at the fair. And it was just kind of wandering the land. And it came and licked my legs, and which was really funny. And I got to pet it, and it was just a really unique experience being, licked by a pig. I don't know why the pig liked me, but after the interview, the lady came out with some wet wipes so I could wipe my leg off if I wanted to, and I said, no, I really kind of savor this. I want to save this and know that I had that pig saliva on my leg all of the rest of the day. So that was my happy buck.
We all still want to know whether you've got a name for your kitten or not.
Oh, we do. We do. His name, his official name, this is crazy, is Chesterfield. And his real name is Chessie.
Jessie.
Chessie, and he's named after the Ohio, let's see, what is it? The Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad kitten.
Okay.
His name was Chessie. Because
Okay.
he looks a lot like her.
Good. That's a lot of happy bucks. Who else?
Steve, Stan Grog.
Hey, Stan.
I'm back and I can see you, but only on my iPhone because my computer, our Wi-Fi is down when we got home and I'm supposed to be out to fix it today. Anyways,
pay your bill.
well, that may be too. We have seen 35 national parks, got about 15 to go. And we came back because of the smoke in the western coast. Once we got out of Olympic Park, it started being really smoky with fire. And so I think the prayer today should include the firemen and people that have lost all the materialistic things on the West Coast. So anyways, glad to be back. We'll be back for a couple weeks or 3 weeks till the fires tame down, and then we'll go back to California.
All right. Well, thanks for that report. We're glad you're home safely. Joy.
Okay, my happy buck is, you know that I am the proud mother of 6 exchange students, and for the first time, I'm going to have an exchange in-law. So Kevin, who was my 4th exchange student from Brazil, is getting married on the 2nd of October. And his bride is Daniele, and she's gorgeous and just as sweet as she can be. So that's my happy buck.
Yay. So are they going to come see you, or are you going to be able to go down to the wedding?
I cannot, right now you can't get to Brazil
Oh,
north.
yeah.
They can't come here. So their plan is to come in 2 years, come up
Good.
here.
Excellent. All right. Who else? Just speak up.
I want
I can't
I
see
wanna know
everybody
how
at once.
Joy's
There we go,
surgery
Linda.
went.
Go ahead,
How
Linda.
did Joy's surgery go?
Joy, she asked about your surgery. I know you gave us a nutshell just a few minutes ago. Can you bring us back up?
Sure. Surgery went well. I have a big long incision from my sternum out to the top of my shoulder, but I was able to get off my narcotics on Sunday afternoon, and I'm not taking any pain medicine now at all, and just doing real well. It's you don't realize that your collarbone is a fulcrum until you try to move your arm off of that broken fulcrum, and then you go, ow, ow, ow. So anyway, but it's healing well, and I'll be able to pull some duties, service time here pretty soon.
Very good. Who else? One more. Got time for one more. Hearing no more, we go on with the joke of the day. And normally I would tell this, but it's too easy to read it. A group of chess enthusiasts checked into a hotel after a large chess tournament. Rather than going straight to their rooms, the group stayed together in the lobby discussing the day's events and bragging about their prowess. After an hour, the manager of the hotel entered the lobby and asked them to disperse. Why? They asked. Manager answered, because I can't stand chestnuts boasting in an open foyer.
Oh.
Hey, back to you, Barb.
Okay, back to me. Okay, going the right, there we are. We talked last time about maybe having another food distribution date, and VJ's working on that. We thought it might be this Saturday. It's not this Saturday, but he's working on having a couple of days, maybe in October, where Rotarians can go back out and help give food to those who need it and don't have it. So that's update on that. I didn't see Bill Bowen on the call, but again, he'd like you to volunteer for October 10th out at Tulsa Hills Youth Ranch. So just let him know if you're interested in doing that. It's going to be at 9 o'clock, and there's all sorts of things you can do, and it'll be outdoors, and you can distance, and it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, again, Lindsay House, they need school supplies. We've shown this before, but I just keep this on here as a reminder, if you think about it, to go out to Amazon and make sure those kids have their supplies. And our immunization of the Cameroonian children is still ongoing as a GoFundMe. I did not go out and look this morning and see what the number was, but we're still lagging far behind in getting enough money to be able to send that shipment that VJ already has prepared over to Cameroon. Okay, last week, Cole she didn't get the real mistake in the fundraiser, but she found 2 other mistakes. So Steve, you do an excellent job on the fundraiser, but there were a couple mistakes and she did find them. So even though she didn't get the real one, I did award her the $5 Starbucks gift card, which I will either mail to her or we'll get it to her somehow. This week, we do have a winner, and it's Barney. In the fundraiser under the speaker, Libby Billings, who's going to be speaking in a couple of weeks, who owns several restaurants downtown, he listed one of her restaurants as The Fault with an F, and it's actually The Vault with a V. And Barney caught that, and he was the first one to put it in the chat room, so he wins the $5 gift card for this week. So yay, Barney. Okay, Mike, I'm going to drop this down and let you take over and do the pot of gold.
Okay, we've got 20 tickets in the pot, and let me share my screen so that you can see.
No, you got to be able to do it now.
Okay, all right, there we go. Okay, 20 tickets, and there's 18 numbers left, so I'm drawing the ticket now. And it's, oh, come on. It's Barbara again.
No, you're going to think this is a setup. This is not a setup, but I did send you money, so.
She
It's the
did
gift.
send me money. She has one ticket in the pot. Oh,
That's,
all right.
but I won't be lucky enough to get it. I'm going to pick number 12.
Number 12. Okay. Let me unshare if I can figure out how.
I can stop you.
I've got it. There
Okay.
we go. Okay, number 12. I don't know if you guys can see. Thumbing through the deck, there's number 12. And number 12 is, looks like the Queen of Diamonds.
Queen. Well,
we appreciate it. There were 20 tickets in there, folks. And keep that money coming in. We need it.
yeah, get your money. What I did, I realized yesterday I hadn't sent the money in to Mike yet. So I wrote a check, took a picture of it, sent it to him through email, and he put my money in the pot. But I didn't win anything. So, okay, back to, here's our daily update on where we are. You can see the death toll in Tulsa County is really remaining kind of the same. And again, those spikes down on coronavirus, those are the weekends when the reporting just doesn't get put in. So the following Monday, it spikes right back up again. So we're not there yet, but here's what we're going to try and do. We have 2 people that we are ready to induct into as new members in Sunrise, Jesse Poole and Laura Garrett. And here's our tentative plan, and we hope Corona plays with us and works well. We're going to try and we're going to do our board meeting on October the 12th. And as you know, we've been doing board meetings in person because we have a large room that we can socially distance in. And if we can't have an in-person meeting, we're going to induct Laura and Jesse at our board meeting the evening of October the 12th. Now, if we are able to have an in-person meeting, we'll just do it on October the 14th, which is our regular meeting day, and we'll do that at the Marriott. But we will induct them in any case, one way or the other that week. But if it is on the 12th, we're going to video that, and then we'll play it back on our Zoom meeting on the 14th. But I'm hopeful that by the 14th, we're going to be able to actually have our meetings start being in person, and there'll be a hybrid. For those who don't feel comfortable coming yet, then you'll be able to actually call in on Zoom and see the meeting anyway. So that's where we are on that. And I am assuming that the doctors on the call are probably in agreement with that as well. So now we have our Rotarian of the day, which is Jim Blackburn. He's going to introduce our speaker. And I'm going to, let me do a multiple share here. Sorry. Every time you think you know how to do this, it doesn't work. Okay. Okay, we've got it. So multiple can share. Okay, Jim, go ahead and tell us about you, Farmer Jim, and then about our speaker today.
Well, I made the October Rotarian, whether any of you know it or not. I'll hold this up. See this picture in the Rotarian pretty well illustrates Jim Blackburn today. I love to watch the cattle sitting from the front porch of the cabin. I came from a large family. Norma and I have been to 17 college graduations. All our kids, thank heaven, went through school and finished, and some went back. You know that I've been involved in farming for many years, started in 1960 on my own, on the side while I was trying to keep a job down. But other than that, I've also had an interesting life. I've done a lot of things in between, on the side, and so forth. It says in the fundraiser that I spent 18 months in Germany in the service. Well, one thing that I remember out of that more than anything else probably is a trip into East Germany and East Berlin in 1954. You see what really still hadn't changed from human life or physical buildings and things since World War II. And it really had not been that long, but the conditions that people were living in was unbelievable. I graduated from the University of Missouri in agriculture, soils, and chemistry in 1957. 31 years in sales. Norm and I had lived in Missouri, Minnesota, Missouri again, and Nebraska, and Oklahoma, and Louisiana, back to Oklahoma, and part-time in Arizona. Spent 15 years in private business with a partner in St. Louis, bringing Russian products in out of in the United States, Canada, Mexico, for the fire extinguisher industry. And I've had a number of in-between jobs or opportunities, like inspecting cargoes on ocean ships and inspecting cargoes on inland waterway barges in the middle of the Mississippi River and so on. And that all proved interesting, and got involved in writing the survey procedure for the National Fertilizer Institute, and that was an interesting challenge. Paul Bauer, Paul's persuasion and arm twisting over an extended period was the reason I'm in Rotary, and wish I had done it sooner. One of the best things I've ever done. I just enjoy the camaraderie, and I enjoy making some small contribution as we go along. This morning we have a speaker with an organization that we have a lot of past history with. It was originally known as TAPSI, Tulsa Advocates for the Protection of Children. Most of you will remember the work we did on the picnic shelter out at Laura Dester, and the picnic tables and bookcases and so forth. Well, we never could have done that without the help of this organization, because we didn't have enough money to satisfy what the state wanted. It was known then as TAPSI, that was the acronym, and it has moved along these years in our remote absence, I guess I would say, not absence of mind, but to too much of a degree physical absence. They've changed their name to Fostering Connections. They're still working at the same thing, or with, as I understand, the absence of the facilities that they work with, both office-wise and place for the children. We have with us this morning Evan Taylor. Evan has a long history of working with social needs and issues in and around Tulsa. He is in standing as a minister, was a minister of the Eastside Christian Church for 8 years. He's worked with politicians in Oklahoma City. He's worked with the prison management system, all endeavored to help the lives of those less fortunate. He is the father of 3 adopted children, and so he not only is applying himself outside of the house, but inside of the house. I won't go any further, but I will say one thing, that because of me sending him a fundraiser, and he read about our speaker from Street School, he has since contacted the Street School people and is going to do some work with them. So don't let me take any more time. Let me introduce Evan Taylor to you, the Community Engagement Director of Fostering Connections. Evan, it's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you very much. I love the little golf clap. That's great. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just making sure I have it all set up right. In the chat bar, I posted a link to our website, fosteringconnectionsok.org. So feel free to look on that for any information if you have any questions during this talk. Thank you, Bill and Rotary, for allowing me to speak this morning. Bill wanted me to give you a little bit of my personal journey, and then I'll go into the work that we do at Fostering Connections. I've been here in Tulsa for almost a little over 20 years. I graduated from OSU Okmulgee in photography and ran my own photography business. Still do it on the side a little bit, but ran it for almost 20 years. But in the middle of that career, I felt a real call into the ministry, and I soon found myself working as an outreach coordinator, outreach minister at Eastside Christian Church over at 15th and Harvard. I joined the staff there in 2014, and then quickly moved into the solo role of minister a couple years later. During that time, though, at that church, my now ex-wife and I, we found out that we could not have children in the traditional manner. So we immediately looked at adoption. Our first child we got through a local nonprofit and had him from the hospital. We were at the hospital when he was born, and that was in 2008. When he was about 4, we realized we needed another kid to bounce off of this kid because he was just wild and great and everything. So we entered the DHS system to look at adopting, fostering to adopt. Long story short, we ended up meeting a 17-year-old young lady, not what we planned. But then 4 months later, we finalized her adoption right before she would have aged out of the system, is what they call it when a foster child hits 18, they're out of the system. About 2 years after that, we got a call from the local nonprofit again, and they had another baby for us. And so long story short, I have a son who's 11, a daughter who is now 25, and another daughter who is 6. So it's pretty crazy in my house. I'm glad you guys met so early because everyone's still in bed. So it actually worked out very well. While working at the church, I did do a lot of social justice issues, spoke about equality, gender, race. We did work with immigration reform, some prison reform. I was on the founding board of Action. It's a community organizing group here in Tulsa that advocates for a lot of social justice issues. But I soon found that my calling to ministry was more than just about preaching. In early 2019, we at Eastside had a tough talk about our future and our finances, and ended up merging on Easter 2019 with Forest Park Christian Church out in South Tulsa. Another long story short, I was there for about 6 months, but soon found out that financially they weren't going to be able to keep me on the payroll. So I began searching for a job in the nonprofit sector, and literally just found Fostering Connections. It was still TAP C at the time, on a website job posting, applied, and I got hired in the middle of the beginning of COVID. It was all online via Zoom. I didn't even see my office or meet my boss for a month, or my coworkers. And it was TAP C at the time, Tulsa Advocates for Protection of Children, which we worked with you guys years ago at the Laura Duster Center, as Bill mentioned, with the picnic tables and all of that work. In June of this year, we officially changed our name to Fostering Connections, if you can read that. It speaks more to our purpose and our focus now. And then if I could ask you to be just a little patient for me, I'm going to try and share my screen to show you. There we go. I think y'all can see that. This is our at a glance page of what we do. But just to give you a little bit of history, you can read through that as you will. We partner with the Oklahoma Department of Human Services to improve the lives of abused and neglected children in Tulsa and surrounding counties by providing resources and building community. We were founded in 2006 when 2 other groups formed together, the Children's Service Advisory Board, who had been around since 1948, and merged with the Tulsa Community Children's Foundation. We joined together and created Tulsa Advocates for the Protection of Children. In 2019, the board and leadership underwent activities to rebrand the organization. And like I said before, June of this year, we began operating as Fostering Connections. We currently have a staff of 6, mostly full-time, a couple of part-time, and we have a board of 9. that help us facilitate our programs. You may notice our new logo. It's right here and on my shirt and on the flyer as well. It's formed out of 4 colors that represent our 4 core programs that we work on. The first one is purple for our resource center, and you can read about that there. It's pretty much like a nice thrift store. Some of you may be familiar with it. We're over near 51st and Harvard is where that resource center is, kind of nestled behind the Urban Air Jump Park. And children in foster care, their families are allowed to come once a month and shop for free for everything from diapers to young adult clothing to cribs, beds, whatever we have. And last year alone, there were 3,700 visits to our resource center. The orange color there to the right there is about our community outreach. We connect foster families with support groups in Tulsa and the surrounding counties. We do research and collaborate with other organizations to improve the lives of children in foster care. The kind of red rust color there, the Mobile Resource Center, is one of our newest additions and I would like to show you some pictures of that. I don't know if you can you see the bus in that picture? This is just a mock-up. We have the bus. We still don't have the design on it yet, but what this will do will drive to our surrounding counties and pretty much be what it says, a mobile resource center. This is a very exciting new venture for us, and it'll be packed with clothing, hygiene items, stuff like that, that we can take to surrounding counties to help children in foster care. Let me go back to that page. And then lastly, the teal color there is Fostering Joy. This is a revamp of our previous program we used to call Christmas for Kids. And we help provide presents for children during the holiday season. Last year, we gave out over 1,300 presents valued at $75 a piece. So if you're interested to help us with that, there's a text to give I can send. It's also right here above my head. If you would be interested in sponsoring a child, I can send some more information to you later for that. We are also in need of volunteers at our resource center to help us sort clothing and items that come in. Just yesterday, we received over 300 pounds of donations, and of those, about 200 had to be tossed out because they were unusable. We are trying to create a new connection with, or disconnection with the phrase, something is better than nothing, which is very common in donating to nonprofits when it comes to tangible items. And honestly, a shirt that's stained or a shoe that's missing a sole, or you'd be surprised what people bring in. And all of that stuff has to be sorted and organized. We want our children in foster care to have the best they can have. We don't like the word used. We like the word gently loved as far as donations go. And of course, new donations are our pride and joy. Our new logo, you see with all the hearts, with the heart connecting, is like a mosaic made of these different colors that represent our program. But one of the big things I noticed when I first saw our new logo was the space between the pieces. If I can draw your attention to that, we all know that mosaics are held together by some sort of adhesive, some sort of glue or compound that holds the pieces together. And that really is from groups like you, from our individual donors, from our corporate donors. All of that helps keep us together and helps provide for us a way to create a thriving life for abused and neglected children in Tulsa and surrounding counties. I will unshare the screen and totally open to any questions you may have. And I will send that text to give info there in our group chat. So, any
Evan, this is Joy Ondercheck, and I have a question. So are there any children being held even temporarily now at the Laura Dester shelter? You know, when something happens overnight and all the offices are closed, what happens? How are those children accommodated in that hopefully temporary situation?
I'm honestly not sure what's happening over at the Laura Dester Center after they closed a couple of years ago and then reopened shortly after. We kind of lost connection with them, but we still have, most of our work is done through the social workers now. And I forgot to mention, Bill asked me to kind of share kind of the process of a child being taken away from a family. They can be put into a place like the Laura Dester Center, but most of the time there are waiting families within the DHS system that have gone through training, have gone through the home studies, the background checks, and everything to be approved to be a foster family for a child. And sometimes they can have as little as an hour's notice that a child is on their way. Sometimes it's sibling groups, more than one child. My boss actually at Fostering Connections, she's a foster family. They had an hour's notice, got a 8-month-old baby with a onesie, a diaper, and one sock, and that's all they got. And every story is different, and I don't want to bog you down with the neglect and abuse stories that we hear every day. But just realizing that it's a real thing and happens in Tulsa a lot and our surrounding counties. And we try to fill that void to let these children feel that they are loved and accepted and mean something to our community.
Hey, Evan, we had an endorsement. Jesse Poole says his partner was a child welfare specialist with DHS until recently. She heard you talking about the thrift store and vouchers for what a great resource that it is. And Tim Holder wants to hear more about your master's program in social justice. How long is the program? What has resonated with you so far in the learning process?
Yeah, I forgot to mention I'm in the middle of a Master of Arts in Social Justice at Phillips Theological Seminary here in town. I'm about a little over halfway in the program. With timing and hours, and now especially COVID, I'm only taking one class a semester and should be finished up with that end of 2021, I believe. But it's been a wonderful program that has really opened my eyes to a lot of the religious connotations of social justice and how we can work together more as being opposed to each other more to create that social change for people who not necessarily have had their voices silenced, but sometimes just not heard. And we need to step up and fill in the gap for those folks who are able or who are not able to speak for themselves or have had their voices silenced. And
Evan, you can elaborate a little bit more on this. Don Wasson just makes the observation that a friend of his from DHS, with so many people confined at home with the COVID-19 restrictions, dysfunctional parents are abusing their kids more. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
unfortunately, we don't have any like specific numbers or statistics on any of this. We can just assume that it's happening because of COVID. It's DHS has had their budgets cuts over the years, and I believe most of the social workers are working out of their homes now. There's a lot of restrictions with being in a home, visiting homes, checking up on children. And since we're just more of a resource center, we don't get a lot of the information directly, like a day-to-day routine of social workers. But the ones we do have a liaison on our board that we work with DHS, and the stories you hear are just horrifying. And I don't really feel comfortable sharing that much on here, but just know the worst of the worst is out there, and it's happening every day. And it's our job as humans to protect and provide for these children, these innocents in our world.
Okay, well, on a little brighter note, this is a great question from Joy. How different was it, and it had to be very different, bringing a 17-year-old into your home as opposed to a newborn?
Yes. If you ask anyone who's fostered or adopted children, every story is completely different. There is no one set parameter of this is what it's going to be like. But overall, it's been very good. Of course, there were roller coasters. There was some past trauma issues that we dealt with and still deal with today. But she's doing great. She's going to school at Paul Mitchell, has 2 part-time jobs, and just really working to be a great contributor to society. And I couldn't be more proud of the direction she's taken and the paths that she's chosen for her life. I'm very proud of her. But yes, adopting an older child is a lot different because you haven't raised that child. My other 2 children we've had since birth. So there is that kind of disconnect sometimes, just because of traditions and family and everything else. But my other 2 younger children just love her like she's their big sister. She's the cool big sister that lets them watch movies and popcorn and snacks and all this other stuff. So it's a very good matchup.
Is she still at home?
She does live with me full time right now, and has for about a year. And she's wanting to get her own apartment soon. We're just trying to figure all of that out.
Okay. Any other questions? We've run the course of what's on the chat board.
Yeah. I will say right now we're really working on our Fostering Joy program, the holiday program. Children birth to 13 years of age will fill out, their families will fill out a wish list for them that we will have at our offices, and we're going to be developing an online Amazon list, kind of like you have for Lindsay House. We'd be more than happy to share that with you. Children over the age of 13, from 13 to 18, get a $75 Visa gift card. Or if they want a specific card to GameStop or Dillard's or whatever, we try to provide what they want for the holidays.
If you would send us that information, we can have Steve put that in the fundraiser, and we can publish that as we get closer to the holidays, because that's something I know you'd like to participate in.
We're actually having a Zoom meeting at 9 today with our DHS liaison and her boss to discuss what DHS is doing for the holidays this year. Everything is completely different, as you can imagine. I mean, here we are on Zoom for a Rotary meeting. And so we're just trying to create the best scenarios for the children. That's our focus, is the children.
Evan, Jim Blackburn back at it. You mentioned in your talk about the children fostering out or stepping out.
Aging out of the system.
Aging out. I remember the director of Laura Desta told me that if they got a child to 18 or a young person to 18 and they could ride across the city on a public bus and make an interchange, they were successful. That doesn't seem like much of a start in life. Would you elaborate on that and what you see on that?
Yes, DHS does have programmings after a child ages out, after they turn 18. Honestly, at that point, though, it becomes a choice of the young adult now of whether or not they partake in those. And a lot of children, who, especially if they've been in foster care for a period of years, once they turn 18, they don't want to have anything else to do with the system. And so it's a real hard struggle with a lot of them. We are currently looking at working with Youth Services of Tulsa and again, Street School. Thank you guys for reminding of that connection with us to develop some older programming for older teens to help them do what they need to do. There's still just so much trauma in these children's lives. I know, Bill, you and I spoke yesterday about the ice cream social that you guys had hosted at Laura Duster, and how you had invited some police officers to come, and how sometimes just a police officer in uniform can show trauma to a child, because 9 times out of 10, they were forcibly removed from their family's home by a police officer in uniform. So it's just being aware of those things. My oldest daughter, she'd had some trauma issues, and we had to go through some training of specific ways to, like, when we went into a room, to talk to her, to not block the doorway, to not make her feel like she was trapped, and stuff like that. But every child is different, and every child has a different trauma experience, whether it's with police or through the system or just with family in general. It can be a smell, it can be a song, it can be a meal you prepare at your house that can affect a child. And it's just that awareness and that empathy that you must have just constantly on target to make this child feel safe.
We had another observation. Don Wasson wanted to know what happened to the Eastside Christian Church facility.
Oh.
Well, Esther and Marge are friends of mine, so I happen to know it's up for sale.
Yes, it is up for sale. The congregation moved from there to Forest Park Christian Church, which is at 91st and Mingo. So it's quite a change there, but most of our congregants actually lived farther south Tulsa, so it's worked out very well for them. The building is still for sale. I do believe Marge is still working there, running the books and everything, because Eastside Christian Church is still an organization, and until they sell the building and completely do all of that. But currently I'm completely out of the loop on all of that, other than just saying hi and checking in with people.
Well, I suggested, and if we've got any entrepreneurs out there, we could really use our own version of the Ryman Theater here in Tulsa.
Yes.
It's a great facility, just absolutely gorgeous.
It is a wonderful facility.
Who else? All right, Evan, thank you very, very much. I'll be sending you my email address so that you can send us any information that you would like to have published in the fundraiser. Other than that, Barbara, it's back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your talk this morning. That's interesting, very interesting. And we'll look forward to getting the information from you so we can help out come Christmas time. I always close our meetings with a quote from somebody, and it just happened to be, I already had this one out, and it's from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I love this quote from her. She said, "Every now and then it helps to be a little deaf. That advice has stood me in good stead, not simply in dealing with my marriage, but in dealing with my colleagues." So I thought that was pretty cool. Next week, our speaker will be Dr. John Henshaw from the University of Tulsa. And I'm not sure exactly what the topic is. It's called the MAID program. I don't know what that is, but we will find out, and we will look forward to seeing everybody next week, same time, same place. Thank y'all.
Barbara,
Yes?
you might tell Evan that we'll be making a contribution to the Rotary Foundation in his name as a speaker gift.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Yeah, we had been giving people coffee mugs, and it's kind of hard to do on Zoom. So we've decided that we are making a donation in our speakers' names to Rotary's Polio Fund. So, our goal is to stamp out polio. So thank you. It will be made in your name. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, thank you. Have a great week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.